Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Top Bins with Twins. Both Paul and I are here today. We're going to be doing a really fun, kind of exciting new idea we had. I'm sure it's been done before, but it is new to us.
I don't know. It's probably this feels like a foundational idea to me, Luke.
It does, right? I mean, earth-shattering. It's up there with just man discovering fire, I think.
Yeah, it's a game changer.
It is. So our idea is what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be drafting bus teams for the entire season. So if you don't understand what bus means, it's kind of a little terminology in the FPL community where
It's a little dark. Beware.
it's a little dark, right?
It's a little dark.
But the idea is that you select a team at the very beginning of a game week before the matches happen, even remotely days before it's even the deadline is going to, lock into place. And you have your team set up to where if something happens and you can't change your team, the premise of if a bus hits you, then your team would still be set for the week, and at least for the
I
next
told
week.
you. I warned y'all. It was a little dark.
It's a little dark, right? So we had the idea to draft bus teams for the entire season. And I think that's what we will be going through today. So, Paul, I'm going to hand it over to you. You can provide a little more background on why we're doing this, or you can just dive right into your team, whatever you think is best.
So honestly, I think this is just a fun little exercise too. Like it's a different way to think about building an FPL team because typically, like whenever we're building FPL teams as managers, we're going to look like 3 or 4 weeks out, maybe five or like look like weeks in advance, planning for stuff we can change, stuff like players coming in and out. And this one's kind of fun because you have to take so many more things into account because when you build an FPL team week by week, there's an injury, you're good, you're fine. But in this situation, if we have an injury in one of our starters, then this team, say if somebody tears an ACL, MCL, whatever it is, and they're out for the year, you got a big problem on your hands because you can't
Yeah,
transfer anybody out.
you
So
really do. You really do.
yeah,
So,
so it's
so
it's another variable to consider whenever this. So it's fun. It's fun to look at it this way.
it really is. So how about we hop on that bus and get our teams
All
going? How does
right.
it sound?
Yep. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully, nothing bad pops up.
There we go.
Let's exit out of that tab just in case.
You never know, right?
All right. So this actually I'll just look at it from this situation and I'll slide these guys in where they should be. Um oh no.
What's wrong?
I didn't save that. That's not right. That's
Well,
upsetting. I didn't make those transfers. All right. So
do you want me? I can share my team if you'd like.
yeah, go for it. Let's see. I'm gonna stop my share and then you can go for it.
Okay. Let me see. Share my screen. Which one do I want to share? One. All right. How does this look to you, Paul? Exactly kind of what we're hoping to see here.
Yep. Yep, you're all good. Just keep break
All
down and
right. Perfect.
I'll put this team together.
Okay. So let's start from the very beginning, right? I think my starting goalkeeper that I'm going to keep in majority of the time is going to be Bert Leno. I picked him
Interesting
from
choice.
with Fulham. I think Fulham has had turnover. They've haven't had that many signings this summer, so there's a lot that I think some Fulham fans are a little upset about, especially if Willian goes out the door. I think that could be a
Hmm.
big problem for them, but I still think defensively they're going to be pretty sound. And Leno had an amazing season last year, making ridiculous amount of saves. I think he had. Let's look at
He's
this.
gonna get a lot of chances to make saves. There's no question
Last
about
season,
that.
he had 142 total points with 17 bonus points. He made a ridiculous amount of saves. So I really do expect that he's going to have another great season again this year. I don't see why anything would
Hmm.
change on that front.
Yeah, I'm
So
there
he's
with
my
you.
keeper I'm going with. I think that he should be the best one for me to just leave and forget, right?
Hmm.
So next, let me actually, yeah, that's fine. I'm happy with that. I am going to have. I'm going to set up in a 4-4-2. Is kind of what I'm expecting. I
Okay.
think and Cuckoo might change before the season would start. So let's go ahead and put him in. I'm going to switch him in here for Mings. And we're going to be set up in a 3-4-3, right? Really like
Okay.
that setup. We'll put Eze first to come off the bench, Mings second. But this is exactly how I want the team to look. So my back three, Estupinan, Gabriel, and Pedro Porro. Amongst these
Nice.
three, I feel like I'm picking players that are going to be healthy, right? That's one of the main variables that I'm considering here. And I'm looking at upside too, right? So all three of these
Mm-hmm.
players, I feel like, are going to be locked into their starting positions at their respective clubs. Pedro Porro, there's a little bit of a question around how aggressive he's going to be compared to Conte's wingback system, where he was just bombing up and down the side of the pitch constantly. But I still think he's going to have those opportunities, right? I feel good about
Yeah.
having him on this team.
Mm-hmm.
Gabriel, I was in a little bit of a debate between Gabriel or going with Saliba, just because of the price point. Ben White's
Saliba.
Saliba.
Sorry, can't help it.
Gabriel's 0.5 less expensive than Ben White. Ben White offers somewhat of that attacking potential, but at the same time, saving that 0.5 is, especially in a team like this where we're just drafting and forgetting, it's gonna those price differences make a big difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Gabriel was also selected too for his XG that he acquired, I don't know, over the past season.
Yeah.
We can see here that his XG was 5, right? And in comparison to Saliba, I think his was sub like 2 or even 1. Can't exactly remember
Mm-hmm.
what it was.
Yeah, he's dangerous
So,
on those corners.
yeah, on corners, set pieces, I would love to have him. I wouldn't
Big
expect.
body, big
Wouldn't be
body,
shocked to
big
see him
frame.
get another goal or two this season. And then next I have a Stupinan. I think that he is just a dream, right? At the price that he came in at, not having him in your FPL team is crazy to me,
Yeah,
frankly.
Luke, do you think he's like per value one of the best priced FPL assets?
I think so.
Yeah,
Saka might be the best, in my opinion. I think that him being priced at 8.5 is ridiculous because you do not have
yeah,
to think twice about him being in your team. If he
yeah,
was 9.5, I would still probably be trying to get him in my team with
yeah.
him being on
That's valid.
pins. Well, hopefully he makes his pins. But I think with him
We'll
being on
see.
pins, that makes a big difference, and Arsenal's going to score a lot of goals. So,
Mm-hmm. I agree.
um,
Hopefully the Gunners do.
yeah, newfound fan here. Paul, let's
Yeah.
pass it over to you and let you go
Okay.
through your defenders and goalkeepers.
Okay, Luke, do you want to end your screen share?
Yeah, got it.
Okay. Let me see. All right. Haha, it's the right one. So if we want to look at my team here, I have Pickford in goal. And most of that reason is because last year, this guy literally, let's look at his stats from last year. I mean, 124 points. We know he's going to play every minute for Everton. He's going to get a lot of chances to make saves, contribute in that way. And I don't know, there's something about Jordan Pickford that I feel like he's going to have a good FPL year this year.
I think the big question is, do you think Everton's going to be better this season?
I think they're probably going to see a lot of the same this year.
Okay.
But we'll see. I mean, they were better in the last month on the last couple months under Sean Dyche. So we could see an improvement of Everton if they kind of as an FPL manager, I kind of want to see Pickford. Basically, what if they can move the other team back farther where they're attacking from, where they're taking more long distance shots, and Pickford has a chance to save stuff. I love him as my goalkeeper because he's going to make a lot of saves.
Yeah, and I
Like
think
he's going to be everywhere.
Dyche having that time to get to know the players, have them get to know his system, I think that's going to go a long way for them.
Yeah,
Um,
I
so
totally
I
agree.
think I Pickford was someone in my thoughts as well for my goalkeeper.
Yeah. So next I have Estupian, which honestly, for a lot of the same reasons you just detailed, he's kind of impossible to miss. And we know like as long as he's healthy, he's gonna be playing that left back position. He's gonna be getting forward. So I think
Right.
he's honestly almost impossible to miss on your bus team. And then we also have Luke Shaw, who I think this year is going to be once again a vital member of Manchester United. And I think United actually probably is going to have a really good year this year. There could be a lot of clean sheets involved with their defense, especially
Well,
with
if you
Onana
could
back there.
click on his stats, the indicator right there. Let's look at those.
Yeah.
Okay, so he only had 4 assists last year, which is actually really surprising to me.
Yeah.
Uh, I feel like last season there were points where I felt like he was completely locked in, like complete part of the template, right?
Hmm.
Um, but he did have 12 clean sheets, which kind of pop off the page there.
Yeah.
So he is for sure an excellent asset with 30 starts. I mean, you would expect to see a similar number for him this season as well.
Yeah. And obviously, as FPL owners, we don't want to see him starting as a center back, but he also has the option where if they have injuries, if stuff goes wrong, he's still going to get game time. Even if he's not playing that left back position, he can play as a center back, which we saw last year. So I
Yeah,
think
those
it's good to have,
excellent. Yeah,
yeah, it's good to
skyrocket.
have a player that's functional in both those ways to play a fullback and also a center back, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Okay. And then next we have Pedro Porro,
Very nice.
who I think under this new manager for Tottenham, I think he's about to thrive. He had a really good last year. I mean, he had 3 goals and 3 assists in only 1,100 minutes. I mean, I think, especially like as attacking as this Tottenham team is going to be, the clean sheets maybe probably won't be as common, but I think he's going to be going forward a ton. And he has the ability to create and also create for himself too. So I think this is kind of somebody not to pass on, you know?
Yeah, whenever you asked about the best value players in the game, I said Saka, but Pedro Porro could end up being up there. I would not be
Yeah.
surprised one bit if we look back and he ends up with a price of like 5.5
Hmm.
million pounds or something. I think he's going to become very popular, especially if Harry Kane stays. And even if he doesn't, I think that
Yeah.
if he doesn't stay, Tottenham's going to have to reinvent themselves a little bit, change how they
Yeah.
play with maybe Richarlison up top or maybe even Son playing as a striker.
Agreed.
And he'll be a big part of how they try to adapt to that, I think.
Yeah. He will be. All right. Do you want me to go ahead and do my midfield or do you want to do yours?
Yeah, let's have you do your midfield.
Okay. So we're starting off with the Brazilian boy, Martinelli.
Ooh,
He, I think there's honestly for his value, I think 8 million to get him at that price point is just a great deal. Like if you look at him last year in Arsenal's attack, he was a vital part of their attack going forward with pure creativity, with assisting, with scoring goals, with interplay with other players. Like it would shock me to see him not have the same production this year that he had last year because I think he's only going up in levels. And this year you could see an even more clinical version of Martinelli.
would you want to see him playing as a striker? Or do you prefer for him to stay out on the left,
Oh, I prefer him
especially?
on the I prefer him on the left.
Okay,
I
yeah,
really
I
do. And I
think.
know that the Jesus injury kind of changes things a little bit, but I think you could probably see Trossard or Havertz sliding up top into
Hmm.
that 9 role and essentially doing what Jesus does, which I mean, I think Havertz can easily do that.
Yeah,
And Trossard can too. So I mean, it's kind of like a coin flip about who Arteta wants. But I think
right.
Martinelli, with both of those players, like with Trossard and Havertz, they're kind of going to do the same thing as Jesus, which Havertz may do what Jesus does a little bit better, the interplay, playing back and forth
I
with
don't
somebody on the
know.
wing.
I don't know. Jesus is really good at that. His technical
He
ability with
is,
the ball, I
but
think, supersedes Havertz's a little bit.
I don't know. I don't know. He's a little shiftier, but Havertz with like his like shadow movement, where he kind of just disappears in defenses and shows up and all this stuff. I think that's going to cause a lot of chaos against defenses for teams, and it may create space for Martinelli too.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Definitely all eyes on the Community Shield this upcoming Sunday. We
Hmm.
definitely want to see how Arteta decides to line up, and
Yeah, it's a
a
big one.
matchup that they want to win. It's going to be something that I think Arsenal's going to go into that match saying, "All right, how are we going to line up game week 1? Let's do that in this matchup because we really want."
Hmm. Yeah. And so next up, Marcus Rashford, which he had an absolutely amazing last year, his best FPL year so far. And to me, as a stringent Manchester United hater, I have decided to adjust my FPL and not make decisions on emotions and all these other things, which is I would highly recommend everybody else because at the end of the day,
Good
it's about
decision.
scoring the most points possible, and that's the simple fact of the game. So we're gonna put our emotions to the side, which Paul is not good at, but we're gonna do that.
It's a work in
And
progress, right?
yeah, exactly. But so Marcus Rashford, honestly, I think he's I don't know if he's gonna have that same kind of run. Like last year, he kind of tapered off towards the end of the year, but with the pieces they've brought in this summer, like Hoyland, and all these other like I just think their attack only is getting better. And
Mhm.
he's gonna be a big part
Mason
of that.
Mount. Mason Mount.
Mason Mount's gonna help Rashford a lot. Yeah. I don't know how I forgot about Mason Mount. But yeah, I think Rashford just especially the thing that was most, surprising last year was the clinical nature that he went about finishing. Like, we just hadn't never really seen that from him before to the level that he reached last year, so I think it's only gonna get better, you know? And
Yeah, I think we sorry, finish your thought. I didn't mean to cut you off.
nah, that was it. I need to drink some water.
I was just, thinking about Rashford last season, right? He had some incredible goals with really low XG opportunities, right? If
Yeah.
you look, he finished with 17 goals scored in the Premier League with an XG of 15.27. So he outperformed his XG.
Look at the XA.
Yeah, the XA is, marginal compared to how many assists he got. So I
Yeah,
think
he
some
got
of those were, a little bit of luck. But at the same time, it just goes to show how great and how technical of a player he is, right? Because
yeah.
when someone like him gets those opportunities and he takes advantage of it, it feels about right. You're not shocked that he converts on these really kind of insane shots that most people wouldn't even think about taking. And
Yeah,
so,
especially when he's on the heater, like, he kinda was, like, midway through the season last year.
mhm,
After the World Cup, like, he was just I think he for sure burnt both of us and hurt our FPL seasons a lot because we missed out
big
on him
time,
as an
big
asset.
time. I went from I think I was about 700K after the World Cup down to about, the 2 millions in the span of about,
Mhm.
4 or 5 game weeks. And that was brutal. That
Yeah,
template team really hurt. I think it destroyed both of us.
it happens though. Let's see, I'll go to my next midfielder. Next, we have
Mhm.
Saka, which we kinda talked about a little bit. Price point, he's on pens. He's just so vital that Arsenal attack is gonna score a lot of goals. I think it's almost impossible to miss out on again. And then next, I
Mhm.
actually have our good friend, Jared Bowen. And so if we look at
Friend?
his stats, yeah, you don't know this. We're on speaking terms.
Oh, yes. Okay. Our friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod. He just doesn't know it. Um, so last year Bowen had a down year, kind of just because West Ham had a down year itself. And the thing that we're seeing in preseason is that they are scoring a lot more goals. And yes, I think some of those have come from lower tier teams, not quite top five level teams. But if he can regain the form of 21, I think he stands a good chance to be, especially when coming in at 7 million I think that's a good price point for him.
Yeah. Mhm.
Like that gives you some good value, and like at the 7 million price point, I mean, for midfielders, you see what who else is in there? Let's see, let's pull it up so people can see just so we get an accurate. Why are you sorting by total points? All right, so at 7 million, we have Trossard, who minutes questions, Sterling, which actually is really good value. I don't like the meta, but it's really good value, I guess. And then we have this cat from Liverpool, Shabazz. I don't know. It's
Shabazalai.
Shabazalai. I don't know how to say his name. And then Mason Mount, which I think honestly, if you look at all of these teams, right, all these players right here, there's question marks on all of them, basically besides Richarlison. Like Richarlison is the one to pick if Kane leaves. He
Or
is for sure the move at
alternatively,
the 7 million.
alternatively, if Trossard is playing as the striker or false nine, he is going to be an excellent asset, especially for people
Yeah.
who have like Saka and Odegaard or Saka and Martinelli. If you can drop, you know, 1 million from your team,
Hmm.
that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Agreed. So yeah, but just looking at those other 7 millions, I think Bowen, we're gonna I think he's gonna be a good option for people out there. Let's see. Yeah. Next, I have Gibbs White
Morgan
because
Gibbs White, the
Luke
thorn in
Luke
my
is
side.
yeah, he tortured Luke last year.
He did. He did.
He really did. But I think this is a good bench option to have. Basically in my setup, he would be coming off the bench for that. And it's somebody that's going to get game time, and I think he could really grow into the season. I think Force is going to have a better year this year. So if they produce goals, I think he's going to be involved with a lot of that. So he's a good option to have there for people, especially at the price point of 6.0. He kind of enables you to do other stuff in your team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Something else that I've noticed with your team that I think is really important for something like this is all of your players seem like they're a lot of fun to watch, or they are the metaphorical like talisman of their teams, right? I
Yeah.
think you could, you know, argue about that between Martinelli and Saka, but I think all of them are very intricate, important parts of what their teams are trying to do in the attack. And knowing that
Hmm.
a lot of their offensive movements and actions are going to be going through these players is
Yeah.
a good way to pick your team.
Yeah. They're going to be very involved at bare minimum, you know?
Yeah, they definitely are. All right. Do we want to go over and check out my
Yeah.
midfield?
Yep. Let me hop off the screen share.
All right.
Oh, stop share.
Perfect. All right. We're back.
Oh no, close out that tab, Luke.
Good try. Good try. Okay. So here with my team, let's start on the left here. We have Saka. Saka I picked because he had an amazing season last year. And I feel like as Arsenal continues to grow as a club, I think he's going to continue to grow as a player. So I expect, you know, he had a total of 202 points last season. I would not be surprised to see him, you know, exceed that 200 mark, maybe even push for, who knows, maybe 250. Like 14 goals scored and 12 assists. I wouldn't be shocked to see him get near that 15 and 10 mark again, or
Yeah.
15 and 15. I mean, if the chips would have fallen correctly, he could have probably had 20 goals last season. You know, there were some
Hmm.
chances he had that was not able to convert, and you know, a couple penalties too that could have gone his way on a different day. So I think he's an excellent person to have on your team. If you don't have him, something that, you know, think about getting him in there.
Yeah.
So next we have Phil Foden. He is someone that's going to be a little questionable about if he's going to be starting week in, week out, but I think consistently he's going to be an integral part of what City are trying to do this season.
Okay, Luke.
He,
Okay, no, keep rolling. I have a question for you when you're done with this point, though.
okay, whether he's on the right or playing in the middle, I think
In
his
that Gundo role.
creativity, yeah, he could be, you know.
Hmm.
And he's done both at this point, you know, on the right or in the middle throughout their preseason friendly so far. So I expect to see a lot from him this season, and I really think he's going to be a great player to have in teams, and someone to leave and forget and try to just not stress out about, you know, Pep Roulette. So that's why I have Eze on my bench for midfielders. You know, if Foden doesn't play, he'll sub right in, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Um,
Yeah.
what question did you have?
How many points do you think Foden will end up this year? Do you think it's going to be above 175, below 175,
Yeah,
above
so
one?
if you think about it, right, he had that stretch where he was tearing up FPL for around the time whenever they had the Manchester Derby, right? He was almost instrumental to be in everyone's FPL teams. for about 2 or 3 weeks there, and I think he could have like half a season of that, where
Hmm.
people feel like they have to have him, regardless of if Pep is going to start him or not.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about Philip Foden. I have, of course, Sully Marsh in my team. How could I not?
Yeah, your
Um,
dude. He's your
I
guy.
think the biggest thing for me here is percent selected. That is
Hmm.
the make or break. I wanted a Brighton asset, and in the attack, I feel like he's going to be a reliable option, especially with him on set pieces too. And then I have Son. I wasn't
Big
quite
year,
sure if I
maybe.
was going to do this or not. What?
So maybe he's having a big year.
I feel like he is. I think it's going to be a huge bounce back here. You look at these totals, like 10 goals, 6 assists compared to these other seasons. Like,
Yeah.
it's such an outlier, is what it feels like, right? And so
Yeah.
with the
At
new
9, it's a
attacking
pretty good
system,
price. It's a actually for what he could provide. Like this is a
hmm
guy, honestly, that could outscore Salah.
yeah, he could. With the new system, I think it's upside for him, and I think the playing with Madison is going to be a great thing for him as well too. So
Yeah.
Son is someone I'm very happy to have sitting in my team for the rest of the season.
Okay. Yeah.
And then for my forward line, I noticed we have the same one, so I think we can just talk about it from
Yeah.
here. I put Nkuku, Holland, and Watkins, just because I feel like these
So
are going to be the most reliable with getting in the goals. I think no, almost 100% sure that all of them will be on pins for their clubs.
you think
And
Nkuku will?
Nkuku should be, I think. I really do think so.
I don't
Um,
know.
that's the word on the street. That's what I've heard. So Holland really doesn't need much description. He is who he is. There's no way around getting him out of your team. He's going to be in your team, and he's going to be my captain.
Yeah.
So
Perma captain.
Watkins, on the other hand, I think he's a great asset to have. Um, and he's going to be amongst the goals with Villa, a bright, forward-thinking club. I
Uh-huh.
I'm very happy with my forward line here.
Yeah.
So,
We're in agreement.
do you have anything you want to add about those players, Paul?
Yeah, I think Watkins is going to be. If we see, can you click on his stats real quick from last year?
Yeah,
Oh, it's not
right.
going to show it from there. Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
So if we look at him last year, he scored 15 goals and got 8 assists. And a lot of that was kind of due to Unai Emery coming in this year, which he came in, what, like 2 or 3 months into the season. So I think with the full season under Unai Emery, I think Watkins he could probably end up above 20 goals,
hmm I
which is
think
possibly. I mean, I think
he
I think
could.
Villa will be better this year too. And the goals may be diffused a little bit with bringing in Diaby and all these other things, but I think there's a good chance they could just produce more goals, and Watkins could at least get the same total or surpass it.
Yeah,
Like they're going to
I
be a
agree.
really interesting side to watch this year. Whenever we got to see them at the Premier League Summer Series in
Mhm.
Maryland, Villa looked like they were having fun playing together. They looked like they really enjoyed it. So
They did. We got to see some incredible goals when we were there. We
we
were very
did. It was
fortunate.
cool.
Um,
It was really cool.
so yeah, but that was great. I am very excited to see what Watkins can do because it seems like that he was almost more clinical once Emery got there. I think that's
Yeah,
kind of
I
been
mean,
his
look at
track
these stats
record.
from last year. I mean, he scored 15 goals. His XG was 16.15. So he actually technically underperformed his XG. So
Yeah, exactly.
if
And
we
I think
see,
that
yeah,
comes from early in the season before Unai Emery got there, right? In my mind, I
yeah,
see that as like a Gerard time, So yeah, I think that it's going to be really fun to see how our teams develop throughout the season. Just make sure you
yeah,
leave your captaincy on the right person because
yeah. I need to do that. I need to
that
set
makes a
that.
huge difference. But on my bench, I've got Matt Turner, I've got Eze,
32.
Tyron Mings, and Kabore from Wheaton.
Yep.
So very interesting assets there. Players that I'm excited to see what they do. Paul, we might not have time for you to screen share yours, but do you want to say who's on
It's
your bench?
fine. Yeah. So it'll be Bell, Basham, and Gibbs White on my bench.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
That's very
So
good.
that'll
Very
be a good
reliable.
bench. People that will get minutes that if somebody has to sub out. So
Yeah, yeah,
building a bus team that's kind of important. I think the minutes just over the season really is what, and getting good assets. But I mean, like if you have good assets, then you want them to be in the minutes essentially.
yeah, for sure. Those X-Men's are very important, and I think that's
Yeah.
a big debate going on right now with Darwin. And I do not want to be involved with that, frankly. At
Yeah.
least
It's
not yet.
Yeah, we'll have to see. There's a lot of assets we want to see how they kind of develop as the season goes on. So
Yeah, for
everybody
sure.
have those watch lists out there and keep it updated week to week, kind of what you're thinking. That way you don't make rash decisions
Agreed. Yep.
for your regular team, not for your, of course, for your bus team. But
Well, to remind everyone, the deadline for game week 1 is Friday, 11th of August. That'll be 13:30 Eastern Standard Time. Actually, no. Wait. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That'll be.
I guess so.
I don't know. We'll get back to you on that one. But the deadline is Friday, 11th of August, is coming Friday. So if you are drafting an
Yeah,
FPL team, if you're tinkering around with your squads, make sure you have them done by then because you don't want to be making
yep,
any rash transfers um, to fix what you could have fixed beforehand.
exactly.
So I think that will do it for us. If you guys want to
Hmm.
draft your own bus teams and send them our way so that we can see who you're thinking might have the best season, please send them over to us. We'd love to see it. And
Hmm.
be sure to give us a follow on Threads, Twitter, and
Instagram,
Instagram. So definitely thanks for joining us.
YouTube
Really
too.
appreciate it.
YouTube too. YouTube's floating out there.
YouTube as well.
Spotify. We don't discriminate. We'll take them all.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
Yeah.
Anything else from you, Paul?
Nothing. Nothing for me. Just everybody have a good weekend.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you
All
spending
right.
the time with us.
See you.